Almost 65,000 families, primarily from Central America, have entered the United States fleeing violence and seeking asylum and have been placed in immigration court proceedings. These families are mostly mothers with their children, and all sorts of terrible things are happening to these moms and these kids. And as a result, they are fleeing for their safety and coming to the United States to seek refuge here in the US. Our government's response has been that these families who are fleeing are dangers to the United States, and that they need to be detained and be processed for their deportation back to their home countries. You know, what's outrageous about the detention of these families is the conditions are terrible. I mean, these families are in prison. They are watched everywhere they go. They have very little freedom of movement. It's very difficult to access lawyers.
The Karnes Pro Bono Project began when the Department of Homeland Security began to detain mothers and children at the Karnes Detention Center. A lot of local Texas organizations got together, universities, raíces, law firms, to help serve the population detained at Karnes.
All the women that I see are just trying to do that. They just want to be good mothers. They just want to provide for their children. And any parent would think really hard about making such a dangerous journey with their child. And no parent would put their child through that if they didn't feel like their life depended on it. You know, interviewing a woman with a 2-year-old in her arms is something totally different.
It's a great opportunity to see a world that is often hidden from American mainstream view. I think not a lot of people know about what's really going on in these detention centers, and it's a great opportunity to work with this population directly and be able to really provide some much needed legal help.
A high point, I think definitely helping our client that we were working with before we got here, and she got released on her own recognizance. And I guess the one thing that I'll never forget is that when we dropped her off at the volunteer house, she turned around and she looked at me and my partner Zach, and she said, "I'll never forget you." And that was the highest point of the whole trip, and will probably be the highest point of my law school experience. Just knowing that you really had an impact on someone's life like that, and that you got to help.
It's important for people to come down to Karnes and to help the families detained, because without people helping, without you helping, we can't serve them, and the families go without access to counsel, without access to information, and they face a much higher risk of deportation.
This is not your boring sit in the office, internship or your fun vacation week. It is a humanitarian crisis. The work that we are doing is desperate. It is incredibly important. You will have a huge impact, and your help is needed, and your help is needed now.